So, from Bhagavad Gita, we were discussing second verse of second chapter, and we saw in our last session about the definition of Bhagwan. Do you remember it?
Yes. So Bhagavan is a god himself, and so it's come up because it's Sri Krishna speaking.
Yes, and we also saw that any person, if he is possessing six opulences in full, completely, then he is Bhagwan, and Krishna is that person. Only Krishna possesses all those opulences completely. So, any person, if in this world, if he or she is beautiful or powerful, so he cannot say that, oh, I am all powerful. No one is as powerful as me. It's not possible. And you will also see by time, as a person, he grows older. So all these opulences, the power, the potency or beauty, it fades by time. But it's not the case with Krishna. He is possessing these opulences from eternal time, and he will possess it eternal time, till eternal time. So, yes. And interestingly, Krishna is ever fresh, he is ever young. He never grows old. So, it's beautiful. Okay. So, yes. So, if we understand it with the word Hindi, I mean in Hindi language, so any person who has money, lots of money, then he is called Dhanvan. So Bhagwan, and just like that, Dhanvan. So Van means who is possessing it. So Dhanvan, Saundaryavan. Saundarya means beauty. And Balvan, Bal means power, potency. So yes.
Like to be around.
So any person who Bhagwan means any person who is possessing these bhag means all these opulences, so that is Bhagwan. And everyone knows that Krishna is Bhagwan, but people who don't know that Krishna is Bhagwan, so it is same as if in a jail, jailers are not aware about who is president. So it doesn't bother president if jailers are not aware about his position. So same way, if we see people around us, if they do not know about Krishna, then it doesn't bother Krishna or his bhagavata, his godliness. It doesn't affect him. So like that, even demons know that Krishna is God, but because they are demons, that's why they don't follow Krishna. So demons in Hindi called asur. You might have heard it, asura.
Yeah. Yes.
So sura means demigods, or sura means also melody. Sur is also melody. So opposite of asur is
Asura.
yes, asur. So you can also understand it in this way. Sur means melody. So any person who is not following the melody of Krishna, then that is asur. So if suppose Krishna is saying ah, so asur will say I. So they will not follow the melody of Krishna. They will go opposite. So like that. So it's
Yeah.
very beautiful.
And Ish is related as well, like Ishvara or Ishopanishad.
So Ishvara means controller.
Ah, okay. The controller of universe.
Hmm. So, demigods are also controller in some way, in some quantity, but supreme controller is Krishna, Param Ishvara.
Mhm.
You might have heard Parameshwar means Krishna is supreme controller. Okay, perfect. So we saw this from Vishnu Purana. Do you remember who quoted this verse? Father
Um,
of Father of Vyasadeva, Parasar Muni. We saw that, Parasar
um,
Muni. Okay, now let's move ahead. Samagrasya means complete, applies to all the items, whatever opulences we saw. The word contamination, kashmalam, is used with a derogatory sense, since Krishna is taking the position of the teacher and criticizing his student. So, yes, Krishna is dealing like a teacher or like a spiritual master with Arjuna. So, from this, we can see it's mentioned criticizing his student. So, a bona fide spiritual master or a real spiritual master who is not a cheater, he will not only appreciate his student, but if student needs some guidance or correction, then master will also sometimes chastise him or scold him, and it is for his advancement, his better. So yes, this is very important. But on the other hand, if any spiritual master is only appreciating his disciple, even if his disciple is committing mistakes, then also he is appreciating. So it's really not good, because then he is cheater, or he might be, he might have some selfish motives. Disciple might be giving him nice donation or something like that. So this is very important. And you can see if any spiritual master or senior devotees this scold us or chastise us. So it is coming from Krishna only. But we should use our discriminative power here, that the person who is giving us correction or you know scolding us, is it for our better, or is there some selfish motive? See, there is difference between scolding for our better, for our good, and um scolding as,
because they're angry.
yes, anger, or to with basically expressing false ego. So there is a difference between two, and we should use our discriminative power to understand the reason why that person is chastising us. It's very important. So before reacting or responding, we should first see that whatever that person is telling us, is it for our good? So it's very nice. For what reason, Kutaha, has this contamination of turning away from your duties come upon you? The jewel among warriors at the time of battle, Vishame. So, yes, Arjuna was best of warriors, but if he was behaving in such a way which was not at all expected by Krishna, so that's why Krishna is uh, chastising him, that for what reason has this contamination of turning away from your duties come upon you? So this was not good. He was turning away from his duty. So, this is very important to understand, that what does it mean to turn away from our duties? So suppose any girl, if she got married and okay, she's practicing bhakti yoga, but that doesn't mean she will not cook food for her family members, or she will not serve, or she will not take care of house, and she will, always busy in her bhakti or something like that. So this is not good. This is called turning away from the duties. And of course, we know when we are practicing Krishna consciousness, so we can, whatever we are doing, we can do it by putting Krishna in center. So when we are cooking, so we are actually cooking for Krishna. And that way, we are also uh, serving prasadam to other members. Same as if we are, cleaning our house. So that house actually belongs to Krishna. So you're actually cleaning the house of Krishna. So that way, it's important that we also do other things nicely and we do not turn away from the duties by excusing that, oh, I'm practicing bhakti and I can't do that. This is not appropriate. But anyways, Arjuna was a Kshatriya and it was his very duty to fight, but he was turning away and he was giving excuses that no, it's not right, it's not good to fight with kinsmen. So these were only his excuses. He was actually turning away from his duties. So that's why Krishna was chastising him. The Lord explains that this renunciation of fighting does not lead to liberation, swarga, or fame. It is not practiced, jushtam, by those aspiring for liberation, arya. Because those who are arya practice their designated duties for purification of the heart. So, this is again very important that what Arjuna was doing, it would not give him liberation, neither liberation, neither swarga nor fame, nothing. In fact, opposite will happen of this. So we discussed this in first chapter as well, that if any kshatriya, if he's fighting and suppose while fighting he left his body, but then also he get the position, he get the same position as sannyasi, means whatever austerity a sannyasi performed throughout his life, and then after that whatever fruits he get of his practice, so same fruits that kshatriya will also get. Now this is not very easy because kshatriyas or grahastis, they are so much into worldly matters or sense gratification. But simply by fighting in war, if they leave their bodies there, so they get the same fruits which sannyasis get. So, but Arjuna, he was not fighting, he was saying, I will not fight. So, this renunciation of fighting does not lead to liberation, swarga, or fame to him. So, we discussed this yesterday as well. And again, another very beautiful point being told here about Arya. So, when devotees, when they are reading Bhagavad Gita, they are chanting. So, this is called Arya Jushtam. Why? Because this will lead to liberation or love of Godhead. So, suppose if you are living in a house, but now that house is in a condition, it is not in very good condition, um its condition is very bad because it's very old now. So because of that reason it's not in good condition. So now you don't wish to stay in this house, in the current house, because its condition is not very nice. So what you will do, you will start um, you will start collecting money. Collecting means you will earn money, and then that way you will collect money. You will save some money or more money gradually, so that in future you may buy a new house, because now you don't even wish to repair this house because it's not in very good condition. So you will save money with your earnings, by your earnings, and then in future you will buy a new house, a big house. So for that, definitely you will have to earn, you will have to work hard for it, so that you may buy a new house. So now same way, you can see, first of all, yes, you can see in future you will be able to buy a new house. So you can see your goal, buying a new house. So same way, we are living in this body, and this body is like that old house. By time it will become very old, but from this uh, I mean, this old house is there, but we are not, if we are not very attached to it, just like we are not attached to the old house in which a person is living. So, same way, if we are not attached to this house, and if we keep collecting money, now saving money is, money here is our spiritual uh, activities, whatever we are doing, and from that we are, collecting in our account spiritual benefits, and those spiritual benefits will give us a new house, and that new house is Krishna's abode. So this is called Arya Jushtam, that a person, he who is aspiring for liberation or love of Godhead, so he will work hard, and only then he will be able to achieve his goal. But Arjuna, he was not doing, he was not into Arya Jushtam. We saw in the verse, it was Anarya Jushtam, opposite of Arya Jushtam. So Anarya Jushtam means people who are so much into sense gratification, and they are not following religious or spirituality in their life. So that will not give them liberation. They will again take birth and, suffer in this material world. So yes, this is what Krishna is saying. Because those who are Arya practice their designated duties for purification of the heart. It is also contrary to religious practices for obtaining swarga, aswargam, and it destroys fame, akirti karam. So, Prabhupada will explain this point further in his purport. So let's see. Do you wish to say something about whatever we have discussed so far?
Um, maybe just for some reason sometimes words may have a connection, sometimes they don't. It's just coincidence. So because you're speaking of Arya, I mean in this case it's Arya Jushtam. But when we say Arati, it does not relate to, is it? When you when there is a Arati.
No, it's not related.
Okay.
Okay, let's move ahead. Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical, they are not different. Therefore, Lord Krishna is referred to as Bhagwan throughout the Gita. So, we discussed this yesterday also here in India. People, they assume that Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Shiv Baba, not Lord Shiva, Shiv Baba, or someone sitting inside Krishna's heart. Or you won't believe, once I was going somewhere. It was like initial days of Krishna consciousness. at those times I was not practicing Krishna consciousness very nicely because I was very new. I didn't know about anything. So, but I was wearing neck beads that time. So yes, I was coming at my home. I was doing some course at that time, some designing course. So I was coming back at my home and I wanted to buy some clay pots for cooking. So I stopped on, it was actually a house and a lady was selling those clay pots and all those things from her house only. So I stopped there to buy some. So then she saw neck beads in my neck and then she assumed that, oh, she might be spiritual girl because, it's very rare people wearing neck beads or
Really?
living simple life. Yes, it's rare in India. They will wear many things, but not neck beads because wearing neck beads have we need to follow some rules. Like we cannot consume onion, garlic if we wear neck beads.
Yes.
So people know these rules, so they do not easily wear neck beads. So yes, she was thinking.
The the Tulsi neck beads?
Yes, yes, yes.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So
So,
they
but it can be two lines or three
two
lines.
for
Initial.
non-initiative and
Ah,
three for who are initiated.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I only wear one. I'm lower stage. I wear Tulsi bead, but it's only one
Oh, it should be at least two.
at this point.
Okay, anyways. So yes, she saw, and then later she started talking to me. And later, she was concluding that, oh, Krishna is not God. She said some word. You might know Kabir Das. He is a great poet, and he was actually a devotee of Krishna who did lots of poetry on Krishna's beauty. Kabir Das. I don't know you know him or
I've
not.
never heard of
You
him.
have heard Tulsi Das?
Mm, I don't.
It's okay.
It's
So these are poets, and yes, Kabir Das. Kabir Das was one of them. So yes, he said that Kabir Das is God, and Kabir Das is grandfather of Krishna. And because I was not very strong in philosophy, so you won't believe I got bewildered at that time. Doubt came in my mind that am I really serving the right person? Is Krishna really God? And even when I was offering food to Krishna, so I was offering him with doubts in my mind. Am I offering food to a right person? Oh, then later I I think yes, I was hearing Bhagavad Gita at that time also, but not very nicely or sincerely. But then my counselor, I told all these things to her. And then she told me that's why it is important that we hear Shastras very nicely so that we may become strong in our philosophy and no one can bewilder us or distract us. So, this is very important that we hear Shastras very, very nicely. So, yes, what I was saying that some people they say that Kabir Das is God, he has spoken Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has not. Or yes, Kabir Das in heart of Krishna is influencing Krishna to speak Bhagavad Gita. It's not Krishna himself who is speaking Bhagavad Gita. Kabir Das is influencing him, just like Paramatma. He what he do? He sanctions our desires, Paramatma, in our heart. So same way, she was saying that Kabir Das is sanctioning Krishna. So you can see how people, and you won't believe she was saying that with so much confidence that any person can believe her. And that's why even I was bewildered. I was, I was confused at that time that she's right. And she was also gifting me some books that, we sell these books, but you seems like a very nice girl to us. So you please you please take these books for free and you read it nicely, and then you can also return these books us back, no problem, or otherwise you can keep these books with you. But I didn't take those books because I was disturbed at that time. I was actually irritated that what she said, what is this happening with me? I was thinking Krishna is God, and I decided to surrender my life to him, but now she is telling something else to me. And then she said that you do chanting, you chant. Then I told, yes, I chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So she said, oh, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is very long. If you become devotee of Kabir Das, who is Supreme God, then you simply need to chant Om, 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 Om. That's it. It's very easy, you see. And you don't have to follow any rules. You can also eat onion garlic, and you don't have to follow any rules. And so, I didn't buy anything from her that time. I just came back at my home because I was so much disturbed. So you can see how people, they are preaching wrong things with so much confidence. They are not afraid at all. They are not hesitant at all. So we are following bona fide. We are hearing bona fide acharyas, bona fide scriptures. So how confidently we should preach? We should never hesitate, because you will see people, they are preaching wrong things so confidently. Then why can't we preach right things with nice confidence? Isn't it? So, yes, you will see Prabhupada is saying here, Lord Krishna is referred to as Bhagwan throughout the Gita. No any Baba or Kabir Das or this, that, no one. It's Krishna.
And a very, very good preacher is Narada Muni. And actually, yeah, like this person said to you, just chant Om. But he gave, was it to Dhruva Maharaj? He gave
Yes,
the mantra,
yes,
Om Namo Bhagavate
yes,
Vasudevaya. So it's
yes, yes.
there. You know, if you chant this mantra from that Narada Muni gave, you have included what anybody thinks you need to say. Om is there too.
So, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells that Om is the sound incarnation of him only.
Um,
So Om is also Krishna, but people they do not know this. See, it's very much important that we understand Krishna in Tattva, that he is absolute truth. Otherwise, you will see many people saying Krishna, Krishna. So, okay, they may get some piety, or, they will not be sent to hellish planets. But then also, that is not enough to invoke love in their heart for Krishna. Just like, devotees have love for Krishna. So it's very much important that we hear from bona fide devotees, bona fide scriptures, to know who Krishna really is. So let me tell you one example which happened recently. Yesterday only, there are few people in our relatives. So they were talking to my mother on a call, and she was sharing. See, she was sharing that his husband, he got influenced by some negative energy, means not negative energy, but some, we discussed about suicide, So any person who commits suicide, then that soul in his subtle body wanders,
Like a
and
ghost.
he do not he do not get a gross body. So uh, that person, her husband, he got influenced by this. Influence means a soul has entered to that person. This is not, I'm not making things. She was sharing, she was actually crying. You know what happened? uh, her husband came from work back at home, and she said that, oh, it's time for you to take dinner, so please get inside and let's have dinner. So he shouted so badly on her. He didn't did it like that earlier, like never. He never shouted on her in that way, but that day he shouted on her. And then later, he went inside and he started beating his head on wall, and his eyes became red, and then he was speaking in some other voice. He was saying that I am Rahim. Now Rahim is a name of a Muslim boy, an Muslim guy. And he was saying that I am in his body because I liked him. And he said many things. So that girl, not girl, she's lady, she was very much disturbed, and she was crying, and she was sharing this thing to my mother. And I was reflecting on this, that this is what Maya Devi's job. She is troubling people in this world because people, they are not serving Krishna. So although they have also said Krishna's name many times, but because they are not serving Krishna, like we should serve Krishna, so they are disturbed like that. Even though they also have Krishna deity at home, but because they are not following any regulative principles, or they are not serving Krishna as one should serve Krishna, so that deity is just a deity there. It is told that when in a house a deity is there, Krishna's deity, but when people are not serving Krishna as supreme lord, then that deity is simply a deity, and that deity never reciprocates with those people. It's just what we say, it's just an ideal, it's just like an idol,
See.
murti, you might know.
Ah,
So yes, it's very important that we serve Krishna, we understand Krishna uh, as supreme lord, and then we serve him in by understanding how to serve them. So it's very important.
mm. I think it's rare. It's not something we hear all the time. But yeah, some people get, people say they're possessed, like can be an entity or, these things that are a little bit lost. So yeah, makes sense what you're saying. Like, if you are in um like the Mahamantra has a sacred sound. I understand that this vibration then is very high. So then, these entities are not going to, they're going to be scared, wouldn't they?
Yes, this is true. I wrote
Not
one
attracted.
quote by Prabhupada yesterday. Let me just quote it to you. Yes, one senior disciple once was speaking in front of Srila Prabhupada. He said, Krishna is in his name. Krishna is in his name. Do you understand it? Krishna is in his name. To which Prabhupada responded, where is his name? No, Krishna is his name. It's not like he is in his name, he is his name. So when we are saying Krishna, that is Krishna himself, and it's not like Krishna is inside his name. So, yes. Just like, in Bhagavad Gita, we were discussing that it's not someone inside Krishna's heart speaking Bhagavad Gita. It's Krishna himself who is speaking Bhagavad Gita. So same way, it's not Krishna is somewhere inside his name. It's Krishna only. Krishna is his name. So yes. Okay, let's move ahead. Bhagwan is the ultimate in the absolute truth. Absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding, namely Brahman. Brahman is the effulgence emanating from Krishna's transcendental body, or the impersonal, all pervasive spirit, Paramatma, or the localized aspect of the Supreme within the heart or of all living beings or entities, and Bhagwan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So we know this three faces: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. So Brahman is uh, the effulgence emanating from Krishna's transcendental body. This is first level of realizing God. Second level is, or stage is, Paramatma. Now see, Brahman is definitely impersonal, no form, because light is impersonal, light has no form. Second is Paramatma. So Paramatma Vadis are advanced than those who experience Brahman. But as Paramatma, Krishna is Paramatma. So, but in the form of Paramatma, Krishna is neutral. He is not as sweet as Krishna or Bhagwan himself. So, Paramatma, he is neutral. So, whatever, Jiva is desiring, he simply sanctions his desire. That's it.
Mhm.
He does not reciprocate like Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. Paramatma is neutral all the time. Okay. And then Bhagwan, or Lord Krishna. So we know he is Supreme Lord and he is very sweet, and devotees can experience reciprocations with Krishna in different relationships. We already know the relationship like servant, or like like parent, friend, or like lover. So like that. But Paramatma is neutral. We cannot have any relationship with Paramatma. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11, this conception of the absolute truth is explained thus. Please sing after me. Vadanti tat tattvavidas
Vadanti tattvavidas
tattvam yajnanamadvayam
tattvam yagyanam advayam
brahmeti paramatmeti
brahmati paramatmeti
bhagwan iti shabdyate.
bhagavan iti shabdyate.
The absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding by the knower of the absolute truth, and all of them are identical. Such phases of the absolute truth are expressed as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. These three divine aspects can be explained by the example of the sun, which also has three different aspects, namely the sunshine. So, sunshine can be, compared with Brahman. I mean, we can know sunshine just a light. So light of Krishna, the effulgence emanating from his body. So sunshine, Brahman. The sun's surface is Paramatma. And the sun planet itself is Bhagwan. One who studies the sunshine only is the preliminary student. So he's very beginner. One who understands the sun's surface is further advanced, and one who can enter into the sun planet is the highest. Ordinary students who are satisfied by simply understanding the sunshine, is universal pervasiveness, and the glaring effulgence of its impersonal nature may be compared to those who realize only the Brahman feature of the absolute truth. So it's clear. The student who has advanced still further can know the sun disk, which is compared to knowledge of the Paramatma feature of the absolute truth. This is also clear. And the student who can enter into the heart of the sun planet is compared to those who realize the personal features of the supreme absolute truth. So now any student or any devotee, if he is directly serving Krishna, trying to understand Krishna directly, then he will automatically realize the Brahman and Paramatma feature. He does not have to do other put other efforts to understand those features. He will understand it automatically. Therefore, the bhaktas or the transcendentalists who have realized the Bhagwan feature of the absolute truth are the topmost transcendentalists. Although all students who are engaged in the study of the absolute truth are engaged in the same subject matter, the sunshine, the sun disk, and the inner affairs of the sun planet cannot be separated from one another. And yet, the students of the three different phases are not in the same category. So it's clear, right? So, Prabhupada, in one of his small books, he gives example. Just like if you are going somewhere for tracking. So when you are on the way, so you will see the mountains. But when you will, go little nearer to the mountains, then you will also be able to see greenery on the mountains. And when you will enter into those mountains or jungle, then you will also be able to see the trees, the birds, the animals, and other things. So from this also you can understand when you were able to see mountains, then that is compared to realizing Brahman. Then when you went nearer the mountains, so you were able to see the greenery. So that is compared to the Paramatma realization. And when you went inside the jungle and you were able to see the trees, the plants, the animals, then it is compared to realize Bhagwan himself. The Sanskrit word Bhagwan is explained by the great authority Parashara Muni, the father of Vyasadeva. The Supreme Personality who possesses all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation is called Bhagwan. So all is important. It should be complete. There are many persons who are very rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, very learned, and very detached. But no one can claim that he possesses all riches, all strength, etc. entirely. Only Krishna can claim this because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No living entity, including Brahma, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, or Narayana, can possess opulences as fully as Krishna. Now, again, this is very important that even the incarnations of Krishna do not possess all the opulences fully as Krishna, as fully as Krishna. So let me read it for you. So Harinam Chintamani is one of the books of Bhakti Vinoda Thakura. So I was reading this book as well. Actually, these discussions are going in Yashomati Mataji's group. If you are active and you read the messages, so she is, making us read this book. So yes, in her chat only, I'm reading it from her chat, that Krishna having 64 qualities, Narayana having 60. So you can see here, Narayana is Krishna only. Krishna is also Narayana, but Narayana is also not Krishna, because Krishna is Avatari and others are his avatar, his incarnation. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also Avatari. It's not an incarnation of Krishna. He's not an incarnation of Krishna. He's Krishna himself. So he also possesses 64 qualities incomplete. Not incomplete, incomplete means fully. So, yes. So this was very important point, which one should understand.
Yeah, I briefly did read that. So I was wondering a couple of things. So, well, it did say also, then the jiva is 50.
Yes, 50.
So when Krishna has four more, I don't know if I read or was explained which are these four extra.
Yes, so let me tell you the 4 qualities. It's called Leela Madhuri, means he is the performer of unimaginable and captivating pastimes, especially his enchanting childhood adventures.
Oh, Madhuri is the sweetness, yeah?
Yes.
And
So
Lila is
Leela Madhuri, his wonderful pastimes. So just like Krishna has wonderful pastimes, full of rasa, different relationships are there. But in other incarnations of Krishna, they are not sweet like Krishna's pastime. I hope you are getting it.
Yes, I understand.
Yes. So this is one, Leela Madhuri. Second comes Venu Madhuri, transcendental flute playing. So Krishna plays flute, and you will not see Narayana playing flute, or Lord Vishnu, or Lord Narsimha. They do not play flute. They can, but they do not. Krishna only do this.
How do you say it? Vinu? The flute?
Venu Madhuri.
Venu. Okay. Venu
Yes.
Madhuri. Mhm.
So yes, his flute playing is incredibly sweet and possess the power to attract all living entities across the universe. So please understand this. Krishna is Madhuram. He is the sweetest. But because of our material contamination, we are not able to experience that sweetness yet. But as we'll progress in our spiritual life, we will be able to experience it. That's why we are practicing bhakti, so that we may experience that sweetness of Krishna, and we may become captivated. So it's very amazing. Okay. Then comes Prema Madhuri, loving devotees. So he is continually surrounded by devotee followers who possess unparalleled ecstatic love for him. So you can see how Mother Yashoda, she's always absorbed in thoughts about Krishna, gopis, or his friends. So they have ecstatic love for him. So Prema Madhuri. And fourth comes Rupa Madhuri, unparalleled beauty. So he possesses an extraordinary, unparalleled personal beauty that astonishes all moving and unmoving entities. Even you won't believe, once Lord Vishnu, he was so much hankering to see Krishna. Lord Vishnu is Krishna only, but then also that incarnation of Krishna was hankering to see Krishna. So, you know what he did to so that he may see Krishna? He was uh, he became a thief and he started kidnapping the son of a brahmana. So this is a story, Arjuna is also there in this story. So once there was living a brahmana in the village, and whenever he was giving birth to a son, to his son, so Lord Vishnu would kidnap him every time, but no one knew it. So then Arjuna, so that brahmana was so much disturbed, he was crying. So then later Arjuna said that, oh, why you are disturbed? I will, don't worry, I will save your son next time. I will save him. No one will be able to kidnap him. So he said, oh, even Vasudeva is unable to help me in this, then how can you help me? So Arjuna, he became agitated. He said, hey, you don't know, I'm not Vasudeva, I am Arjuna. So he didn't, I mean, he was seeing Krishna as his friend. That's why he said these words at that time. He became agitated. He said, I'm not Vasudeva, I'm Arjuna, and I'm undefeatable warrior. So you don't worry, you just go and have some peace, and I will take care. Your son will be saved. So, you know what he did? From his bows, he made a shield near his house. I mean, he covered his house completely, and no one could enter in his house. But then also that son disappeared. Lord Vishnu kidnapped him. So also, we saw in Arjuna case, whenever Arjuna used to take any vow, any oath, any promise, then he also used to say, if I will not be able to accomplish my promise, then I will commit suicide, I will enter into fire. So now, you know here Arjuna was not able to fulfill his promise. So he was about to enter in fire. So Krishna became worried that, oh, Arjuna, how can he enter into fire? So then, to save him, he went to Lord Vishnu. And then, Lord Vishnu revealed that why he was doing all those things. He revealed that I was hankering for darshan of Krishna. Krishna is so beautiful. That's why I was kidnapping uh, that Brahmana's son. So you can see. So, yes, Krishna is all attractive, and other incarnations are also attractive, but not as attractive as Krishna. So, Rupa Madhuri, unparalleled beauty.
Um, Rupa,
Madhuri,
the word Rupa, so Madhuri, they all have Madhuri.
yes.
But Rupa is the
Rupa means form, body.
yes, like Virat Rupa or
Yes.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So I can write. Thank you.
So,
That's very
I
beautiful.
wish to explain one more pastime with you. Then we will stop here. Probably we will discuss other part in next class. So, here it is mentioned about Brahma. Brahma means effulgence of light. So let me share with you a photo. I'll show it to you. Can you see this photo?
Oh, yes. It's a
So I
Surabhi house and
Yes. So, I created this photo from Chat GPT. Let me
Ah,
explain you. Let me explain you about this pastime. It's mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. So there comes a quote by Srimati Radharani herself. She was saying this. Krishna, he was standing near a wall. You can see here, and from his bodily, his the effulgence emanating from his body was so bright that it was, uh, when it was, how to say, it was making shine the walls. Are you getting this? So the effulgence emanating from Krishna's transcendental body was in such a way that the walls were also shining. And those walls were appearing like Markat money. Now, Markat money means crystal jewels. So the walls appeared like crystal jewels. So now, when Srimati Radharani saw Krishna, so basically, this verse is about that how Krishna is ever fresh. It's also his one of his quality that he's ever fresh, he's ever young. He has never, uh, he never grow, he has never grew. I mean, after
age.
16 years, after 16 years. So yes, so he is ever fresh. So Srimati Radharani, she was saying to her cowherd girls, her friends, that, oh, who is that person standing near the wall? He appeared as Vishwakarma to me. And Vishwakarma, to whom I have never seen before. Now, Vishwakarma is a person who is expert in building something, building a building, creating a building, or something like that. So he is one of the demigods actually, who is expert in building uh, castles or kingdoms or stuff like that. So now, when Srimati Radharani saw Krishna, so he was looking ever fresh, as if she has not seen him before. And she assumed that this person is a Vishwakarma because she thought that he is building a wall for Goshala to protect cows. So she assumed like that. But Krishna was, he was innocently standing there. He was not building anything. He was simply standing there. So yes. So she was saying in such a way. Later she said that just like a sharp tool is used to break the stones, when we break a stone, so we need a sharp tool. So Srimati Radharani was giving an analogy that his sidelong glances are those sharp tools which are breaking the stones of our dignity or our decorum. So she was saying like that. So,
Wow.
later I wanted to, because I wanted to remember this pastime while chanting. So I created this image from Chat GPT.
Ah, and now I understand. So it's got like all this effulgence, and so the wall is shining because it's reflecting.
Yes,
Like a
it's
mirror,
reflecting.
like a mirror is
Exactly.
some like sometimes you are passing by you know a building and it has a window, but then the sunshine is so um bright that then even if you're not seeing the sun directly, the sun's hitting um on the reflection on glass or something. So Yeah, this is very beautiful, and now that you've explained with the story, it's just a very nice,
Yes.
to accompany the story.
Yes, so Srimati Radharani was saying in such a way that sight-long glances of Krishna or of this person are the sharp tools which is breaking the crystal jewels of our decorum or our dignity.
Yeah.
So
Um,
that's why we call Krishna with another name Radhika Raman, who also who even enchants Srimati Radharani. So see how Krishna is enchanting Srimati Radharani by his sidelong glances, and he's ever fresh. So yeah, ever young.
so this Leela, they are in
Nectar of
more.
devotion.
Oh, is it there? Ah, okay. That's very beautiful. Um,
Yes.
yes, so many pastimes. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I like it's a Surabi cows.
Yes, so I remembered this past time when we were discussing about Brahman, the effulgence emanating from Krishna's body. So just like here, it's reflecting on the wall and it appears like crystal jewels.
Yeah, it does. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I like everything about it, and the colors are also very striking. Um, so the Brahman is also when people say Brahma Jyoti,
Yes.
Brahman. And
Yes.
how do you pronounce? Because Brahma, Lord Brahma, that's just him. But Brahman with an N, how do you pronounce?
Yes. With an N, it's Brahman, which is Brahmajyoti.
Ah, okay. Okay, so that's the effulgence.
Yes.
Thanks. And Paramatma makes sense because I understand that. So the word Atma is the soul. So Paramatma is the
Super soul or
is
supreme soul.
Mm,
Yes.
yes.
So, yes, thus we can see that no living entity, including Brahma, Lord Shiva, or even Lord Narayana, can possess opulences as fully as Krishna. And Narayana can also mean Nar, human beings.
Is body nada or human?
Human, human, human.
Uh-huh. So okay.
Yes, so therefore it is concluded in the Brahm Samhita by Lord Brahma himself that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to or above him. He is the primeval Lord or Bhagwan, known as Govinda, and he is the supreme causes of all causes. Now, this verse we will discuss tomorrow if Krishna is willing. If you wish to say something or add something, please go ahead. We'll conclude our session here.
Um, yeah, thank you so much, Mataji, for sharing these amazing leelas. Um, yeah, that was um, a phrase like no other. That Krishna's side. Um, it's like a shattering. What was it? The crystal jewels of our decorum. That Radharani would say that. I try to remember that.
And
Uh,
I also wanted to share something beautiful with you regarding this. When she said Vishwakarma, so actually, Srimati Radharani has never seen anyone except Krishna in this world. She only sees Krishna. It means not any other men. She never sees any other men because she always loved Krishna. She only has Krishna in her mind. So yes, she sees nothing except Krishna. And if you know of the past times when Srimati Radharani appeared in this mortal world, she appeared like a blind baby, and she was only able to see when Krishna came in front of her. Only then she opened her eyes, and when then she was looking and blinking her eyes. Otherwise, she appeared like a blind baby. So she never sees anyone except Krishna. So, I was thinking this in my mind that wow, we should also aspire for this, that we only see Krishna. Because Krishna is, Adi Purusha. He is real Purush or man.
So um they were like teenagers when we see some images in Vrindavan and but this that you just told is I had not heard, and is does it mean Krishna as Gopala was already meeting Radharani?
Yes. And also, when I
Oh.
said that she only sees Krishna, so that means, just like a girl, like if we talk about about material world, so a girl will love a boy for some time, but when that boy deceive her, or he, even if he die, so now she will love any other boy. This happens, there was one person, he got married to a girl, but her wife, she died because of, I don't know, for some incident she died. But later, after just 1 month, he married with her sister, with that wife's sister. So you can see the medium of love changes in this world. But it's not the case with Srimati Radharani. She only sees Krishna as her loving object and no any other person. She never
Mm.
sees any other person except Krishna.
Like she has only eyes for him.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. Thank you so much for
So we should
today.
also aspire like that, that we only love Krishna because he's only that person who can really reciprocate with us, the reciprocation for which we are hankering. Only Krishna can, reciprocate in that way, and no any other person or being. So, yes.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
so shall we end our session here, Mataji?
Yes, we can do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your association. Srila Prabhupada ki, yeah,
Jai,
Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki,
Jai,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.